Yo, what's poppin', you leng tings? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well. I really do hope that. Today, we are talking about Jacob Steinberg's Guardian story on Thiago Silva. What's going on there? Does he make Chelsea worse at the moment? What's happened? Also, Declan Rice wanted to come back to Chelsea, so saith Jody Morris, and Chelsea were being quoted around 60 million quid for the now Arsenal central defensive midfielder. And also, I do want to speak a little bit about Bundesliga. Thomas Tuchel at Bayern Munich, of course, Xabi Alonso at Leverkusen doing insane stuff, still unbeaten, an incredible story, really. Throughout 2024, I'm going to put the odd non-Chelsea story in these videos for those of you who are interested in my takes on non-Chelsea stories. And yes, this is a Chelsea channel, but over the years there's been so many of you that said, Jan, why don't you talk about this, that and the other? I did make a second channel for it, Football Yannick, but it's really hard to balance over multiple channels, and the truth is, many Football Therapy fans want to hear commentary on the big footballing stories, and of course a massive one is the Bundesliga today, so we'll do a little bit of that towards the end of the video. Thanks friends for joining me. We are on the road to 200,000 subscribers, about to pop that 180k, so I'll thank you for subscribing. It really does mean a lot, friends. Hit the bell if you do. Thanks for liking the video, and let's get into it. Now, Jody Morris recently said on what looks like a podcast / YouTube video that him and Lampard in their second season of management together were talking about how there wasn't enough legs in midfield. They had N'Golo Kante, but he was suffering with recurring injuries, and they only had him on the pitch less than 40% of the time. Of course, Declan Rice was released by Chelsea when he was 14 years old, and at the time, many people at Chelsea didn't want him gone, but he ended up going to West Ham, and maybe he needed to go to West Ham to have that journey to become the unbelievable player he is today. So fast forward to when Lampard and Jody Morris are coaching Chelsea. Morris approaches Lampard and says, look, what do you think about Dec? Let's get him back. Let's get the legs into the midfield. I reckon it'd be perfect. Lampard wasn't sure at first, but after doing some scouting and watching him, he says, yeah, I'm all over it. But of course, prior to signing him, they wanted to make sure Declan Rice would be interested in returning to Chelsea, a club that released him. He replied to Jody Morris saying, of course I'll come back, I'm a Chelsea fan. Many people know he's a Chelsea fan anyway from following him, and of course he said that to Gary Neville on his interview in The Overlap. But at the time, West Ham were quoting Chelsea £65 million, and that got lost in a bunch of transfers. Of course, we ended up signing Werner, Ziyech, Havertz, and many others. Declan Rice just got pushed down the priorities, and of course he ended up going to Arsenal for £105 million. And I don't really mind about this. This is kind of like anecdotal now. I think Chelsea have excellent midfielders in Moises Caicedo as a CDM. Of course, he's taken the place in what Declan Rice would have been playing, and Enzo Fernandez, Conor Gallagher, Romeo Lavia, Cesare Castaday, Andre Santos, Leslie Ugochukwu, Kendry Pires. It goes on. Chelsea are okay in the midfield. So let's move on and talk about what Jacob Steinberg's saying in his article referring to Thiago Silva. Perhaps Thiago Silva's wife, Belle, was onto something when she took to social media during Chelsea's defeat by Wolves, calling for a change. After the team's grim experience trying to keep out Pedro Neto and Mateus Cunha, it cannot be a coincidence that not having a 39-year-old in central defence made it easier for Pochettino's side to produce their best performance of the season when they destroyed Aston Villa last Wednesday. It could be a sign that the end is arriving sooner than Silva might have anticipated. Chelsea, though, have a tricky balancing act. They are not planning to offer the Brazilian an extension, but when his contract expires at the end of the season, they do not want to disrespect him. Silva is one of the greatest defenders of his generation and will have a big part to play in the next few months. It's important that he leaves on good terms. Yeah, he deserves a great deal of respect, Thiago Silva. He's literally a titan of the game. I've said it before many times, he's not a Chelsea legend, but he's definitely a cult hero at Chelsea, of course, winning the Champions League, setting the standards. I spoke about Lampard a few minutes ago. Lampard waxes lyrical about the professionalism and the quality of Thiago Silva, but he is in his 40th year of life, and this is the Premier League, like an unprecedented level of quality of football, speed and stamina, like, you know. Even so, there's an argument that Chelsea need to begin the process for phasing out Silva. The benefits of playing two younger, quicker centre-backs were evident when the 22-year-old Benoit Badiashile and the 25-year-old Axel Disasi neutralised Ollie Watkins during the victory over Villa in the fourth round of the FA Cup. Chelsea, who had conceded 8 goals in their previous 2 games, looked far more balanced thanks to Pochettino introducing more mobility in the back at Villa Park. It was a glimpse of Chelsea playing like a Pochettino Pochettino team. They were aggressive in the 50-50 duels and they played through Villa. They covered the spaces and cut the gap between their defence and midfield. The patterns were impressive when they attacked. Why change anything now? Yeah, this article goes on and speaks a little bit more in detail, but I want to give my thoughts on this now. To reiterate what I said before and what Steinberg's actually written in this article, Tuchel saw flaws in Thiago Silva's game. Not flaws in terms of his profile, but simply his age. So we played a back three to accommodate what is his immense quality. That was 5 years ago now, or 4 or 5 years ago. So the point how he's even older now, and we've gone to a high-octane back four system that demands so much of their centre-backs, to continue using Thiago Silva is a mistake, I'd say personally. Now, he may well start against Crystal Palace tomorrow because we're short, I think, a couple of centre-backs. I think Badiashile is injured. We don't know if Levi's good to start. Certainly Fofana's still out. Chev Chalobah's not ready to start. So there's a bit of a centre-back crisis. I think the general thought was that bringing in Thiago Silva in this very, very young team, he'd kind of act as a childminder, calm everyone down, tell the young, naive players where to go. And maybe there was a bit of that, but now I think personally we just need to plan for the long term, move forwards, and use the mobility of these young defenders. It's a talking point, but look, I love Thiago Silva, man. I love Belle Silva. I think she's wicked in terms of the support she gives to him and the team. Both his boys are in the academy. They're like a proper Chelsea family. I love it. And if possible, I would keep him at the club in some sort of capacity if he is ready to retire as a footballer. Hang around, stay in London, man. Settle down more, maybe learn a little bit more English and stay at Chelsea in some capacity. I would love that, and I think all the Chelsea fans would love that as well. So let me know what you guys think about the whole Thiago Silva situation at Chelsea. Do you agree with me? Do you think he should still be playing? Comment down below. Let's move on and let's do a little bit of Bundesliga. Could Harry Kane and Eric Dyer be bringing the Spursy over to Bayern Munich in Bavaria in the Bundesliga? An incredible, sensational story in European football and actually quite exciting. Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen are doing bits and remain undefeated in the Bundesliga, which is absolutely incredible. No one's done an invincible season before over in Germany, and Bayer Leverkusen are mockingly referred to as Neverkusen over in Germany because they never win anything. Could that all be about to change with Xabi's Alonso's side after they slapped up Thomas Tuchel's Bayern Munich 3-0 at home yesterday in the Bundesliga? Of course, in the return, or the reverse fixture, should I say, it was 2-2 away at Bayern Munich. So, yeah, obviously they're undefeated this season, so they didn't lose. And they've taken 4 points off their title rivals this season and now are 5 points ahead, having played the same amount of games. First of all, amazing. Xhaka's been excellent in the midfield. Of course, they've got the likes of Grimaldo, who's been scoring goals for a while at wing-back, but he's really exploded there at Bayer this season. Of course, they've got Frimpong, really fast player. Just an exciting, dynamic team, playing a three-back system with wing-backs. Xabi Alonso, of course, linked to a lot of clubs. If he does do this dream, amazing fairy tale title win, loads of clubs will be in for him. Of course, Klopp's his favourite to replace Klopp at the end of the season at Liverpool. It still feels a little bit early for Xabi Alonso, but if he's the first team to win the Bundesliga title not named Bayern Munich for like 11 or 12 years is insane. And for him to do that with, like, say, not a Dortmund, a Bayer Leverkusen, it's amazing, really. You'd imagine he'd want to go to one of his affiliated clubs, which would be Liverpool, Real Madrid, or indeed Bayern Munich. But I think at the moment, probably not Bayern Munich. Maybe because if he has a bond with Leverkusen, he'll think, yeah, I'll just go to Liverpool for a little bit and see what I can do there. Also, by going to Liverpool, you're picking up an amazing team that Jurgen Klopp's left for you. Like, really good and ready to transition to a new coach as well, which is really annoying as a Chelsea fan. But let's talk about Bayern Munich a little bit. Like, is it... Obviously, Leverkusen have been insanely good this season. They deserve all the plaudits. But we have to remember, like, firstly, caveat, I love Thomas Tuchel because I'm a Chelsea fan. I love what he brought to my club in crazy turbulent times. He won the Champions League. We became really hard to play against, and there was loads of positives to take. Tuchel got sacked by the new owners. He couldn't get on with them. He wasn't faultless, of course. He did have poor moments of form, Thomas Tuchel. But also there's some stuff that went on behind the scenes that's not public knowledge. Of course, Simon Jordan of TalkSport said, look, Todd Bowley actually told me what happens and it would make, like, your eyes water or something. We know Tuchel's wife put in an injunction, like a legal ban on certain emails coming out. So there's some stuff went on that we're not privy to, which is fine. We don't need to know about. But by all accounts, he had to go. He had to leave Chelsea. I think that season where we won the Champions League, we were actually papering over the cracks a little bit because we almost accidentally fell into the top four. We lost on the final day to Wolves. We went on to lose the FA Cup final to Leicester, a team that we should have beaten to get the FA Cup. And of course, going into the final against Man City, Chelsea were huge underdogs in terms of the favourites, and somehow Chelsea did it, which was great. But ultimately, I do wonder about Tuchel's coaching since. Of course, he's a really high-profile manager, a great manager, but he got the Bayern Munich job, and he actually relied on Dortmund messing up their game on the final day of the season where they should have won. They were heavy favourites to win. Dortmund, they messed it up. They didn't win, which allowed Bayern Munich to win like their 11th Bundesliga in a row. That really is a massive underperformance by Thomas Tuchel, and they were really poor in the Champions League as well, which of course he was brought in to try and win. They sacked Julian Nagelsmann to hopefully do well in the Champions League, because Thomas Tuchel had recently won the Champions League with Chelsea. Didn't go to plan. Of course, this season he's had a few signings, maybe slightly less sexy ones like Eric Dyer, but he has got Harry Kane, who he's absolutely delivering. He's breaking records massively so far for Bayern Munich. So not only is it Bayern Munich the best team in the Bundesliga, you add a Harry Kane, who's maybe the most complete best striker in the world at the moment, because Benzema and people are, aging. And although Erling Haaland is amazing as a centre forward, he can't do all the things that Harry Kane can do. So it's an amazing addition to that Bayern Munich squad. And to be 5 points off, it's not a good look for Tuchel at the moment. It's a good look for European football, and it's what we want. We don't want Bayern Munich winning the title 13, 14, 15 years in a row. Granted, there's a very real danger of the Premier League coming like that with Man City. But for the moment, it's good. And even Ligue 1 in that time, Bayern kept winning. You had Monaco win it, you had Lille win it. You might have had Lille win it twice, of course, with Eden Hazard as well, perhaps in that period. Maybe just. Anyway, it's a really, really interesting title race, and I wanted to talk about it here. Let me know your thoughts down below on the situation with Thomas Tuchel, Bayern Munich, and Xabi Alonso and Leverkusen. Let me know also if you want to hear more commentary on world football stories, and indeed more Premier League stuff, because I love talking about it. And if you want to hear it, I'll give you my thoughts on it. So do let me know in the comment section. Thanks for joining me today. Take care of yourselves. Hope to see you back here soon. Peace.